Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Animat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. How are you all doing this week, everyone? I know that I had a wonderful time, considering that last week was my birthday week, and yes, I did had a wonderful time with my friends and with my family in different time zones and different days and stuff like that, but all around, it really was a very nice time overall. Funny enough, there is going to be more birthday celebrations to come after this. So technically my birthday time isn't over yet. But also, there is one more thing that I would like to go and state right now, is that, admittedly, I am not 100%. And by that, I mean that I am a little bit sick. I do have a bit of tonsillitis again. So, you might notice that maybe I'm not going to be as, energetic as some of the previous episodes, but I will still do the best I can in order to go and put on the show for you guys, especially with what we have in store today, because we got some highly anticipated stories to go and talk about. We have some must-watch trailers that we got to go and discuss, because I know for a fact that even if I'm sick or not, the show must go on, because with this one, I know that we are going to have a great time. So with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, are you all ready for today's episode of Animat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it, folks. Are you all prepared for this one? Okay, let's see. Oh, yeah. Like some people are even saying it, like KS19 Green gave me a subscription there. Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So I think with that commencement, it is now time that we shall go and get things started. And with our first story, we might as well go and talk about what is possibly the biggest news that happened last week. For a few years now, people have been highly anticipating to see their first ever look, to know what this movie is going to look like, to know how this is going to be, because there is a whole lot of anticipation for this one. I would even argue that it could be the most anticipated movie of 2023. Or at the very least, the most anticipated animated feature of 2023. Yes, even more so than Disney's Wish and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. But considering that recently we had New York Comic Con, Illumination decided that it is at that point it would be the best time to give audiences their first ever look at their highly anticipated feature. So without further ado, let's go ahead and begin this by taking a look at the teaser trailer of Super Mario Brothers movie. So let's go and check this one out. And that is the Super Mario Brothers movie, to which the feature film will be released on April 7th. Now, if you are subscribed to my main channel, Electric Dragon 505, you may have seen on Friday that I actually uploaded a first reaction to it, because I remember back on October 6th, which funny enough was the day after my birthday, I decided to go and do a live stream here on Twitch where we would all come together and just check out the Super Mario Brothers movie teaser trailer together. And I just gotta say that in terms of my first reactions, I was blown away by what they have presented. Maybe not perfect, But so far, I was very much impressed with what they have shown, both as an animation fan and as a Mario fan. And now that we did all have some time to let what we have witnessed to really simmer and like fully register in our heads what we have seen, I'm just going to say right now that in terms of the first look, in terms of our first impression of what the teaser trailer has delivered to us, I think, oh my god, Illumination really nailed it. I think the first thing I need to go and discuss is regarding the animation. Because I know a lot of people have a lot of criticisms when it comes to Illumination, but Illumination is one of those studios that when they can make good animation, they can really make great animation. And funny enough, like when I do think about Illumination's best animated moments, I actually think back of their weakest movies that they have done, like The Grinch or The Lorax. When thinking back of those movies, like their animations, like I may not be fans of those films, but their animation is amazingly good. Like the color palette of the Lorax, the Dr. Seuss style design that they made it accurate for 3D animation. Just like the whole visual aesthetic that they created on the Lorax is just downright beautiful. Like I would even say it's probably the best looking Dr. Seuss movie, like probably on par with Horton Hears a Who by Blue Sky. And then there is The Grinch. Like one of the best animated moments by Illumination was the scene when the Grinch would go and steal presents down at Whoville. That is probably one thing I would say it even has a leg up compared to the Jim Carrey 2000 movie, or even like probably on par with the original Chuck Jones cartoon. Like that was a lot of fun. It was highly creative, and I love all the different ways that you see the Grinch just going around like Who house after Who house, just taking all the presents. So my point with all this is to say that, again, when Illumination can make good animation, they can make great animation. And so far, what we have seen with the animation in here, it is amazing. Like, this is the kind where we see, like, this highly detailed world. Like, what I'm showing here is Mushroom Kingdom, and you see like how it is pretty much built exactly like how you would expect from the games. Like you see all the different areas. Like you do get a bit of a better look like when you get a close-up of this like small mountain here, in which on top you see Peach's castle. So but just even like this is gorgeous to see, like with all the different mushrooms that are everywhere, with all the different colors. The color palette is also very reminiscent to the Mario games, where it's both natural but also very vibrant, where the colors really do pop out, like all the different reds, the blues, the greens especially. Like this is the kind where it knows that good balance, where the colors themselves actually really do stay true. So already this is just gorgeous to see. And another great example is actually with Bowser's Fortress. Like that's another one that looks absolutely amazing. Like that in itself kind of looks like a legit level, where and then like you got the Penguin Fortress, like that's right next to it right over here. Like you see that massive contrast between like fire and lava and ice and snow. And like already just the production design of it, the visual aesthetic, it is beautiful. But then you got the characters, and oh my god, the characters look amazing. Like in here, it's like so familiar, but it is slightly different. Like when you do look at characters like Kamek, or probably the best example of them all has to be Bowser. Like you look at him, and oh my god, like you can easily identify, you could recognize that this is indeed Bowser. And not only that, but there's also a little bit of a difference where it is a bit upgraded for the feature film. So it's not exactly like the same graphics that you would get in either like Super Mario Odyssey or any of the more recent Mario games, but you do get something that like it feels like this is legit a Mario movie. This is what the characters would look like in a Mario feature film. And they really nailed that with Bowser. And even with some of the other characters that we have seen, like, I would even say the same thing with Mario. Like, this is undeniably Mario, but you could tell that the details are very much upgraded. Like, you see the folds on his shirt. You see that like, it isn't just like a plain red sweater that Mario was wearing. It's like a legit collar. You see like the little hairs on his mustache. Like, you see, like, it is Mario, but it's a lot more detailed in a way that it is legit pleasing. And here's another shot of like Mario you see in his full form. It's the exact same Mario. Like, yes, this is legit a Mario that you would expect coming from a movie. This looks amazing. And even Toad, I would even say the same thing, where like, it really feels like Toad has a lot more depth. And some people have commented, funny enough, like, you look inside his mouth and like you notice that like it's a lot more detail, where now Toad also has teeth, which I can understand. Some people may think it's a little bit unnatural to see, because since when did Toads ever have teeth? But still, he looks amazing as well. It's like, it's highly detailed, but also very familiar, where this is the Toad that we all know and love from the Mario games. And I could go on and on, but so far I feel like with what we are seeing in this teaser trailer, the animation, they have nailed it. And it is visually pleasing. It is beautiful, and stays very true to what we have seen in the Mario games. Like, this really does, like, now for the first time we are seeing a Mario movie and it looks amazing. So like there's like no alterations. It's not trying to be gritty. It's not trying to be like the live action feature where they're trying to make some weird updates in order to appeal to older audiences. No, they are staying true to the games. Like, you could tell that Nintendo kept a very watchful eye on Illumination to make sure that they did not mess up. And so far, I just want to congratulate the animators at Illumination, because you could tell that they also put their heart into it, that they are also major Mario fans, and they really want to go and succeed at making a beautiful looking Mario movie. So we could trust that the animators for this movie, they're going to do a phenomenal job. And then there is the casting, because that's another thing that's heavily been talked about. Let me just go and start off with, of course, going back to our boy Bowser here. And as we know, like, amongst all the cast announcements, you probably do recall that probably Jack Black is the only one that people seem to be pretty cool with. And listening to how he is in this, it really does justify why having Jack Black as Bowser is actually a pretty good idea.
Open the gates!
And let me go and show you another example right over here when he has the star. So from there, like, you could tell there is that Jack Blackness in him. Like, you could tell that, yeah, it is Jack Black, but with a lower and more gruff voice. But still, you could buy the fact that this is Bowser. Like, from all the years that you would hear Bowser's grunts, whether it be like in Mario Odyssey and Mario 3D World, or some of the spin-off games like Mario Kart, Mario Party, or whatever, like, you could buy that this is legit Bowser. And not only that, the fact that it is Jack Black, you can hear just from those small lines that he is having a lot of fun, that he knows that he is playing Bowser and he's having the time of his life with it. And again, that's only from what I can hear from this. And also, there's another one that I want to go and comment, and this is one that has not often been talked about, but another one that I feel like deserves some praise, and that's Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. This sounds nothing like Toad. This is completely different than the kind of character that you would always hear in the Mario games. And yet, there's something about it where it feels right. It actually feels natural. And not only that, but it actually does feel like this is a voice that would come from this character. Like it honestly does feel like it's a voice that does work. And like and honestly, even at that, like even if they would go into the original voice of Toad, it would get annoying, let's be honest. Like, you wouldn't want to hear a feature-length film where a good chunk of it you'll hear, "Oh no, come on, Mario, don't worry, this mushroom is fine." Oh, fudge. Here I am, starting this off talking about how I have tonsillitis and yet trying to do a Toad impression. Yeah, very smart of me, Animat. No, but honestly, this one, I feel like it really does work, and I really do applaud what Keegan-Michael Key is doing, where he's giving us an original interpretation of Toad, but one that actually works, one that actually feels like, well, not the same as in the games, but it feels natural and it feels right, where we would hear that voice coming from this character in particular. So that's another one that I honestly do have to applaud. And then there is Mario himself. There is this voice.
What is this place?
And not only that, but we also got this one at the end.
Mushroom Kingdom, here we come.
Yeah, Chris Pratt as Mario. Now, you guys probably recall, ever since last year when it was first revealed that Chris Pratt would go and play the role of Mario, that's probably the biggest backlash that the movie has ever received, because Chris Pratt is not necessarily known to have a very versatile voice. Like, when you would think about many of his different roles, rather it be as Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy, Emmett in the Lego Movie, or even his role in Community, or even what he did in Jurassic World, it really is that distinct, similar voice that you could tell that it's all coming from this one guy. That Chris Pratt is not necessarily a voice actor where he would go and have all these different ranges with his voice. So that's why a lot of people are, like, at best, very much unsure of how Chris Pratt would be as Mario, where you would see the image of what could possibly be one of the most popular fictional characters of all time, but having the same voice as Emmett from the Lego Movie. It just doesn't seem like something that it would work. And from the result that we would get in this trailer here, it looks like so far it's just confirming the assumptions that people may have when they think about the problems of what could be in the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Because from the lines that we have heard from Chris Pratt in this, it really sounds a whole lot like it's just Chris Pratt. Like, if you would go and have a listen to it again.
Kingdom,
Oops, hold on.
Mushroom Kingdom.
Son of a fish, hold on. Let me do that one more time. Third time's the charm.
Mushroom Kingdom, here we come.
Like, it feels like there's just very minimal effort in terms of actually doing a different voice, or at the very least do a voice that would actually sound like it would come from Mario. Because like, it is a massive obstacle that this movie is actually facing, considering that Chris Pratt is a massive big name actor, very recognizable no matter which movie he would go and appear in, and the same would actually go with his voice. And considering that you would play, that he would now go and play a character like Mario, who sounds nothing like Chris Pratt, there really is kind of like that massive disconnect, and that it would take away a lot of the immersion, where like you want to invest, like you really want to go and immerse yourself in this new Super Mario Brothers world, but then you would hear Chris Pratt and it's like, oh yeah, that actor is playing Mario. Like, it takes away from the immersion. It takes away from like the experience to make you realize, oh yeah, I'm just watching a movie. And I just want to go and state right now that I know that there are people out there who are defending Chris Pratt as Mario. And there is one argument that they do have that is actually very much fair, where this is just a teaser trailer, and at the most, we've only heard a handful of lines. Like, the most that he would say in this, like, you can literally count with your fingers. Like, all the little grunts that he would make once he came out of the pipe, and then Mario whispering to himself, "What is this place?" And then suddenly right at the end, you would hear, "Mushroom Kingdom, here we come." Okay, now that is definitely true that we should still be a bit more open with how his interpretation could be, and maybe, who knows, like, his performance could actually be pretty good to the point where you can actually grow to get used to it, where you do accept that this is a new version of Mario and it could ultimately work out. That is a massive possibility, and I'll be open to that. But then again, there is also that argument, or the counter argument, if you will, that all the other actors so far, they have managed to nail their performances. Like Bowser, Toad, like, they only have the same handful of lines as Mario did, but like, when you listen to Jack Black or Keegan-Michael Key, like, so far they have sold to us how they would sound as their respective characters. Even with some of the other actors, like Kevin Michael Richardson as Kamek. Like, it's very unexpected that he would be the voice of like that character, but it actually did work out. Or even a little bit of Charlie Day's performance right at the end. Like, if we just go back, like, it's just a bunch of little screams, but like, you would hear that it does sound a bit like Luigi. Like, just hearing those little screams and stuff like that, yeah, it would sell on the fact that it would indeed be Luigi doing that. But then with Chris Pratt, well, it just still sounds like Chris Pratt. In fact, the funny thing about with how Chris Pratt is performing is that, if anything, if there is a cartoon character that he does sound like, it's not necessarily Mario, but rather
Mushroom Kingdom, here we come.
It sounds a bit more like Linda Belcher from Bob's Burgers. And by the way, this animation is actually created by David Toons on Twitter. So if you want more funny animations like that, go and follow him there. But like, it is true. Like, when you do listen, like, it does have a bit of that inflection of Linda, more so than actually Mario. And that's why right now we are seeing a lot of backlash and a lot of criticisms, mainly going towards Chris Pratt, in which he does not sound like Mario. And it has even gone to the point where now there are people out there that are trying to make petitions, and right now, like, they're trying to go and rally up in order to show more support for the original voice actor of Mario, Charles Martinet. In fact, Tara Strong, who is a good friend of Charles Martinet, she actually created this entire online campaign for everyone to go and show love to Charles Martinet, where they would all go and share their stories of how they've interacted with Charles Martinet and how much of a great voice actor that he is, you know, really lifting up Charles's spirits, and to show that he is very much loved, because I can imagine that, yeah, this is a very tough time where he's not rehired to go and do this very important Mario project and is replaced by this big name actor who sounds nothing like the character that he is well known for. In fact, like, it's pretty clear that Universal and Illumination, that they're just hiring Chris Pratt mainly for marketing purposes to say that, hey, we got this big name celebrity. And I will admit, I did participate in that, where I did share my story, where I remember back in, like, there was one year in Montreal Comic Con where Charles Martinet did come in, and I mentioned how I barely met the guy because I spent more time meeting Mario and Wario through his voice, and it was such a magical moment. And I still stand by it when I say that Charles Martinet is the kind of voice actor that people should aspire to be, the kind of voice actor who just loves what he does what he loves, and even outside of the microphone, he's just having a blast, just being the beloved characters that people have come to know him. And I will say that for me, in my opinion, if Illumination would go and suddenly take out Chris Pratt and replace him with Charles Martinet, of course, I would be more than happy with that. Like at that point, I would be all in with the Super Mario Brothers movie. I would definitely be more excited than I would be before. And I would definitely appreciate that. Like, I think like that would be an amazing idea. But again, there is the argument once again that maybe we should go and give Chris Pratt a chance. Maybe there is an opportunity for him to actually really prove himself that he can legitimately be Mario, and it's not just Chris Pratt lazily being the voice of Chris Pratt. Like, yeah, even in terms of my first impressions, I did not like how he was doing, and I did not like how he is sounding in this trailer here, but who knows? Maybe he could prove us wrong. But we shall see. But overall, though, this is to say that in terms of the first impressions that Illumination has given us with this movie, this is amazing. Like, I would say I'm about 90% satisfied, where outside of Chris Pratt's voice as Mario, everyone else did a phenomenal job. I love the animation. I love the character designs. I love how the animation is looking. There's so much of it, and I love especially how they are adapting the Mario world onto the big screen. Like, honestly, this really did succeed in its mission in really pumping me up. I'm truly excited for this. So, yeah, like, I could say right now, Illumination is so far is doing an amazing job with this. I love the direction that it's going, and I can't wait for this movie to go and come out on April 7th of 2023. All right, so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, how do you all feel about the teaser trailer of the Super Mario Brothers movie? Are you all excited for it? Are you highly anticipated to see what's going on with it? Are you guys a little bit concerned? Let me know what you all think about this. Let's see. Oh, we got a first-time commenter. Okay, let's see now. I'm pretty hyped about the new Mario movie coming out. I agree with everyone else that it looks like Illumination's best-looking film. I'm a little mixed about Chris Pratt as Mario, but Jack Black as Bowser. I'm calling it right now. He's gonna steal the whole show. Oh, yeah, and I'm just gonna say also, apparently it's been confirmed that Bowser in this movie is going to have a musical number. I mean, when you're going to bring in Jack Black, you might as well take advantage of all of his talents. You might as well have Jack Black go all out if you're going to go with the crazy idea of having him play Bowser from the Mario games. So yeah, I think I think that like that's not even a prediction. That's going to be a fact. So I think that's like easy to go and guess right there. Let's see now. My thoughts on this trailer are it's a Mario time. Let's go. Now all we need is the minions singing the Super Mario Brothers theme song at the opening scene of the film's release. The animation is very detailed. Jack Black makes an excellent Bowser. Excuse me. And the world building is amazing. And if you listen carefully to Mario's voice, it sounds like he's gonna have a New York accent instead of Italian, even though it sounds like Linda. Also, I wonder who Charles Martinet is going to voice in this movie. I don't know, honestly. I guess we will see on what role he's going to take, but I don't know. I'll be looking forward to that, though. I definitely will. All right, let's see what we got here. Well, this is officially a must-watch. The animation is absolutely stellar. The Mario 64 penguins finally get their revenge after being thrown off many cliffs. Are you sure that's their revenge? Because they definitely got their asses handed to them. I'm just saying. Let's see. It is really funny. And while Linda Belcher, Chris Pratt as Mario, will take some time getting used to, wait a minute. Ah, crap. Don't tell me it's happening again. Can you guys still hear me? Can you guys still see me? Ah, crap. I didn't expect I would have this problem again. I don't know if it's going to be buffering or if it's going to be okay. Hold on a sec. I'll go and quickly make a restart here. All right, so then... Hold on, it should be fine. Don't you worry. All right, so we should be back. We should be connected. It should be better now. Don't worry. Hopefully this will be the only time that this will go and happen, but don't worry, it's still connecting. Come on, don't do this to me right now. Come on. Is it even working? Like, oh, come on, don't do this to me. Could not access. Oh, come on. No, come on. You could do it. Okay, good. Much better. All right. Now you can see me. Hopefully it should be fine right now. Sorry for the little technical difficulty, but hopefully that should be the only time. Okay, there we go. Anyways, let me go and reread that comment right there. Well, this is officially a must-watch. The animation is absolutely stellar. The Mario 64 penguins finally getting their revenge after being thrown off many cliffs is really funny. And while Linda Belcher, Chris Pratt as Mario, will take some time getting used to, the Jack Black and Keegan-Michael Key voices are great. But I will say I wasn't expecting that voice from Kamek, seriously. With Kevin Michael Richardson in the role, I was imagining Kamek with a smooth and buttery voice of an angel. Oh yeah, the old Wizard Koopa suddenly having like a smooth, beautiful voice, just like what Kevin did with the lizard character in Uncle Grandpa. Yeah, sure, pal. Keep on dreaming, my dude. Let's see now. As a huge Mario fan, this trailer exceeded my expectations. The animation is absolutely beautiful and easily Illumination's best film visually. The designs stay true to the games, and most of the voice acting is great, especially Jack Black as Bowser. However, I am still unsure about Chris Pratt as Mario because of how it just sounds like he's doing a regular voice, but maybe it will grow on me. But overall, I'm still extremely excited for this movie, and it's one of my most anticipated films of 2023. All right. Let's see, what else do we have here? This seems to be Illumination's magnum opus. Still very early to say there. Based on this teaser, I was right to be cautiously optimistic about this one. I like how this Super Mario Bros. Movie continues to break the video game movie curse, which ironically got started with the live-action Super Mario Bros. Movie nearly 30 years ago. So far, everything nearly looks and feels faithful to the games. As for Chris Pratt, I get the discourse, but I don't think 2 lines are enough to judge his Mario. I'm gonna need to hear more from him first. Okay, that's fair. Perfectly fair. Let's see. All right. I'll admit the trailer was better than I thought it would be. I was expecting to give it an F, but I'm pleasantly surprised, and I gave it a B-. Illumination nailed the visuals, and the musical score sounds excellent. No surprise, but I'm still not sold on Chris Pratt and Charlie Day as Mario and Luigi, but Jack Black makes a surprisingly excellent Bowser. I wouldn't say this could be Illumination's Spider-Verse, but I believe it could at least be their Kung Fu Panda. Yeah, and by the way, there's also another thing in terms of Chris Pratt that I feel like it just doesn't really make sense, is that considering that it was a Nintendo Direct that it showed, there was a moment where Chris Pratt was talking about, oh man, I always loved playing Mario, and honestly, I don't think he sounds convincing where he sells the idea that he's a lifelong Mario fan. Like, he's trying to say that he's always played the game since they were in the arcades and in the home consoles, and that it was his lifelong dream to play as Mario, but I just can't buy that. I don't really believe that it really is like Chris Pratt's dream. And even throughout all that, like, it shows that he may not be as knowledgeable on Mario as he's trying to sell it. So I don't know. It just seems a little bit phony that he's trying to say, like, oh, I've always been a Mario fan. It's always been my dream. Like, he was really overselling it to the point where you could smell the fakeness in his statements. Let's see. What other comments do we have? The trailer has me interested for the movie, and Jack Black shows that he's very versatile. As for Chris Pratt as Mario, I'm a bit mixed. On one hand, yeah, he does not sound like Mario, but on the other hand, do you think it would be better if Chris Pratt uses an Italian accent? Also, heard people saying Mario sounds like he has a Brooklyn accent. Now I just wanted to see Mario to go and yell out Brooklyn Rage while riding a Red Eyes Black Dragon. Who the fridge knows, man. All right, I think I'm going to read one more comment before we move on to our next story. Let's see here. Mamma mia, in terms of first impressions, Illumination has just knocked it out of the park. The visuals are a great mix of both a Nintendo and Illumination style. The animation looks incredible, and while Chris Pratt may not be that good so far, the other voice actors sound pretty great, and they fit their characters rather well, especially Jack Black as Bowser. Nintendo has certainly put their trust well in Illumination, and I hope to see more of this Super Nintendo World promo very soon. Yes, so if you are all excited for the Super Mario Bros. Movie, which it seems like a lot of people are, and very enthusiastically so, and understandably so, then keep in mind that the movie will be released in theaters on April 7th of next year. Okay, so let's go and talk about another character that has made the news recently, which is Velma from Scooby-Doo. There have been several reasons why many people have been talking about Velma. Some of those we will be discussing here in the podcast, so don't you worry. But the first one that we will be looking into is actually one that is not so fondly looked upon. In fact, it's been getting a bit more backlash than excitement. So with that said, let's go and check out another teaser trailer, this time all about Velma. And that was the teaser trailer of Velma, the R-rated Mindy Kaling series, in which it is going to be coming out on HBO Max next year. And one thing I gotta say, like, get it out of the way, is that it is rather shocking to see that this series did manage to get out of the Warner Brothers Discovery curse. Like, throughout the entire purge that they've been doing of canceling, like, numerous of different shows, or, like, making sure they don't ever see the light of day on HBO Max and be sold off to either, like, Netflix or Hulu or whatever, this one managed to survive, and this one did manage to stay. Like, honestly, it's pretty surprising to see, like, there are even some survivors of that HBO Max purge, especially animated content, when we have heard, like, bad news after bad news after bad news. Excuse me. But yeah, like, all these different bad news, especially considering that we have also learned, unfortunately, a lot of the staff at Cartoon Network apparently has been laid off, and that for season 5 of Craig of the Creek, it has been cut in half. So at the very least, seeing some animated survivors of that entire Warner Brothers Discovery purge, it is still nice to see. Now, one thing that has often been noted, and especially regarding this Velma teaser, is that it's not been enjoyed. In fact, it's been getting a lot of dislikes. In fact, like, you go and see the official video on HBO Max, so far it got 24,000 likes and 176,000 dislikes. So it's been getting a lot of backlash. And I mean, I do understand the doubt that there is with the like and dislike ratio, where like, you can tell, like, especially in the case of, like, the Little Mermaid reboot next year, where with that one, you see, like, a lot of it is just so politically motivated, and it's just because of the fact that Ariel is black. So I understand why many people would go and have trust issues. But in this case, it's actually a little bit different, because it seems like it's almost unanimous, where both the left and the right seem to not be happy with this trailer. And honestly, I kind of get that. I kind of understand why, at least when it comes to this teaser trailer that we do have here. Like, one thing that I do want to comment that feels like it really does fall flat is the humor. Because in a way, this is really trying to be meta, and it's really trying to go and point out to the obvious. In a way, you could say that it has that Lord and Miller style of humor that was very prominent in The Mitchells vs. the Machines, for example, where it would be very meta. It's pointing out the obvious and stuff like that. But in this case here, like, it's very meta in the way where it just feels cynical. Like, it's just like right now it's trying to throw back the hate and the criticism, well, not the criticisms, but the hate and the backlash that it has received from anti-woke people, and pretty much presenting Velma doing the typical anti-woke things where they would go and complain about every little change that they would do in a show, sending out death threats like they're freaking pieces of candy, or just caring way too much about the character's race and stuff like that. So in a way, like, I kind of get what it's trying to do, where it's trying to go into that similar route that The Boys or She-Hulk has gone in order to go and satirize the anti-woke people and like making fun of their criticisms and stuff like that. But in here, it just feels like it's a little too direct, and it feels a little bit too cynical, more so than it is actually funny or that it is amusing. And also, another thing why I feel like it doesn't necessarily work is that in here, I just feel like it doesn't make sense for Velma to do this. I mean, you're trying to introduce this new race-swapped Velma, this brown Velma, and you're trying to go and portray her as like some kind of like anti-woke crybaby, that she's the one that's sending out death threats and complaining about characters' races when it comes to this new reboot of Judy Jetson that they want to go and talk about. I just feel like, I don't know, it really feels out of character for Velma, where it feels like, at least in the teaser trailer, they're just so focused on trying to be meta and trying to go and call out the haters and stuff like that, where it's kind of forgetting its point, that we're supposed to have our first look, our first taste, our first understanding of what this adult-oriented Velma series is going to be. Now, the one thing that I will say that is actually good in this teaser trailer, it has to be Velma's voice. Like, Mindy Kaling playing as Velma, I feel like that's the one thing that this show has done right, because Mindy Kaling actually does sound like she could be a very convincing Velma. Like, if we just go back, like, just listen to her performance again.
A serial killer calling from inside my house? Yes, that's a classic, and that's my point. Why change anything when the classics all still work, right?
Like, it actually does sound like Velma. Like, you hear that and you feel like, okay, yeah, that's, you know, that is the kind of like geeky kind of girl, like, who's really into mystery solving and puzzles and stuff like that. Like, I feel like at least the performance, they really did nail that well. But that is honestly the only thing that I could say that is positive in terms of this teaser trailer. So yeah, honestly, like, yeah, there are going to be those like anti-woke incels that are just going to be complaining about the obvious things that this trailer is calling them out, or the fact that Velma is brown, she's not white, she's not part of their Aryan race or whatever. But then again, from like a lot of the backlash that it has received, personally, I get it, and it doesn't feel like a good first impression, where it's kind of forgetting what it's trying to do. And if this is how the series is going to be, then it may not work out all that well. But hold on, though. There is still more to go and talk about with this, because at the same time, considering that this showed up during a panel at New York Comic Con, they also revealed a whole bunch of other stuff, and that is regarding some of the other characters that will be appearing in Velma, to which we also got our look into, or our first look into, the mystery gang that we've known before, but now with a brand new look, and for some of them, a brand new race. And of course, like, we got more details about the cast. We got Sam Richardson, who is now going to be playing a character named Norville, or as you probably know him more as Shaggy, but in this case is actually a black Shaggy. And, you know, I'll just say this, like, I'm perfectly cool with a black Shaggy, and there are definitely many ways that you can actually make a great black Shaggy. I feel like that, like, if you got a race swap Shaggy, making him black really does make sense. especially for an adult, like especially for like an adult animated series, like considering that Shaggy is often portrayed as the pothead. Well, I'm not making any racial commentary. I just want to go and say that I feel like it may, honestly, I do support the idea of a Black Shaggy. But this Black Shaggy, I just gotta ask, excuse me, who are you? I don't know. I feel like they could have done a bit better in terms of the design of how they can go and present him as a Black Shaggy. So yeah, design may be a little bit off, but okay, if you want to do a Black Shaggy, I'm all in for it. Next up, we also got Daphne here, in which in this case is actually going to be an Asian Daphne played by Constance Wu. And what's actually funny to note is that this Daphne is actually very familiar. Like, I recognize this girl because if you do recall, it was back in the first image that we've ever seen of, hold on, I'm trying to go and find it. You probably remember, like, the first time ever that we've seen Velma. And then there's this one, like, yeah, okay, it's right here, actually. Hold on, let me just go and copy, paste that, put it right over here. So you probably do recall, oh, fudge, I don't know if you can actually see that. Hold on, how the fridge can we get how can we get a closer look? Up Periscope, or actually, no, you know what? Backup plan, I got a better idea. I'm gonna take this over here, then I'm gonna go, okay, so we do have a proper image of this. Yeah, so it's right over here. So you probably do recognize, like, the first ever image where we see Velma and all the other girls in the shower, where, except for Velma, all of them are naked, and they do see this, this dead body in which the brain was completely taken out. And we got this girl who's, like, really prominent next to Velma, and that actually is Daphne. So I'm kind of surprised it's like, oh, we already got our first ever look. This is actually Daphne, or at least the updated version. And I just want to say right now, it looks like they might want to go and take a different direction with this one, where apparently in here, it looks like Daphne and Velma are going to be enemies. And this is actually prominent when you do look at the trailer, where if you see right next to Velma, there is a picture of them when they were much younger, and like you see like the red X's on Daphne's eyes. So there probably was some kind of like conflict that they had in the past, and now we're going to see them as enemies in this case here. So yeah, this is all just to go and talk about like how we are going to get an Asian Daphne in this series. And then you got Fred, of course, whom he's going to be played by Glenn Howerton, and he's still confused and as white as he can be. I mean, let's be honest. If there's one character who cannot be race swapped, it's Fred, because he is the whitest of them all. And as a good friend of mine said to me, the ascot can do a lot of things on you. So, and yeah, also, it is worth mentioning, and this is also another aspect that is actually very controversial with this adaptation of Scooby-Doo, is that you may notice amongst all these characters, there's one of them that's completely missing, and that is Scooby-Doo. Which is kind of crazy to think about, considering that you're making a new adaptation of Scooby-Doo without Scooby-Doo. And apparently the reason why is actually because of a demand by the executives, where, but I heard, apparently, I could be wrong on this, but the showrunners were actually relieved they didn't have to go and make an adult adaptation of Scoob, mainly because of the fact that they wouldn't know how to translate him for adult audiences. But apparently the executives did not want Scoob to be in Velma, mainly because of the fact that what makes Scooby-Doo a kid-friendly show is because of Scooby-Doo. So if you take him out of the equation, well then, like, you would have all the freedom to go and explore all the other characters and be as R-rated or as gritty or as nasty as you can go and be. So they don't want to go and have that confusion. And I will admit, I do get that. I do understand why they wouldn't want to go and add Scoob. But I also do understand the criticisms about why it's not a good idea to not include Scoob, because after all, this is a Scooby-Doo series. And I mean, if you're not going to include the character, whom the franchise is named after, then is there really much of a point? Like, if you're not going to have some kind of talking red Great Dane or anything like that, then it's not really much of a Scooby-Doo adaptation, wouldn't you think? Especially if you're bringing in all the other characters. I mean, you're bringing in Shaggy, you're bringing in Daphne, you're bringing in Fred, but you're not bringing in Scoob. I can understand why some people will be turned off by that. Now, with all that said, though, apparently, despite the fact that the teaser trailer is not well received, like, at all, there have been some people who do state that the show itself is a lot better. Like, on that same panel at the New York Comic Con, they did show the first episode of the series, like, in full. And apparently, the reception of that is apparently much better than the teaser trailer. They're not saying that it's phenomenal, that it's great, but they're saying that it's definitely better than what you would get than in the teaser trailer. Like, that trailer is just a bad representation of what the show actually is, and people are encouraging others to go and at least give it a chance before you would go and make your comments about how they really did mess things up with this Velma series. So there maybe, like, honestly, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt, and it is true, it is just a teaser trailer. It barely showed us much. I would even argue that it barely showed us anything. Maybe a little bit of the animation, maybe a little bit of Mindy Kaling's performance. But, yeah, like, other than that, though, it did show us nothing. And let's just say it's not as good of a representation of what this show could be compared to what we've just gotten with the Super Mario Brothers movie. So who knows? Maybe it could turn out to be better than what we would expect. Maybe a lot of the changes that they made are actually great. But overall, though, I don't know. From this teaser trailer, I'm not sold by the idea. I do like Mindy Kaling's performance, but other than that, it just feels a little too cynical. It feels a little too lost in its humor. Like, it's not selling me on this idea just yet. All right, so with that said, I'd like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, what do you think about the Velma teaser trailer? Are you guys excited for this? Are you a little more doubtful? I would like to know your thoughts on all this. Okay. I'm sold on Mindy Kaling as the voice of Velma, as she sounds just like the character we all know and love so far, but the rest I'm not sold on so far with the humor and direction that they went in making her feel out of character, so they better fix this or else it will suck. Back to Mario. For me, I'm 90% sold except for Chris Pratt, unlike the Spider-Verse sequel, but at least I'm sold on Mario more than Velma, if Velma didn't present herself with a bad trailer. All right. This show has a lot going for it. A nice idea with a great fit for the voice of Velma, but man, this all just fell apart. This seems, the setting seems kind of weird, the animation looks pretty choppy, and even as a fan of meta humor, they really overdo it here, as if they say, "Ha ha, we are aware of what we're doing, aren't we funny?" Also, regarding the character designs, I guess Shaggy used 10% of his omnipotent power to change his skin color in order to acquire the pass. You know what pass I mean. Oh, that pass. Yeah, I gotcha. I'm too white to actually say it, but I know what you mean. Let's see now. I'm honestly kind of mixed. On one hand, the animation is pretty decent and Mindy Kaling is pretty good as Velma. But on the other hand, the meta humor just falls flat and it just hurts to show more than it helps. And it's just disappointing that Scooby isn't here. So we'll see. Also, what is it with these meme power? What is it with the meme power are making in the comments? Did Morbius infect this series and people are just making up lines and that aren't in the series? Oh, you never know, especially when it comes to Warner Brothers. Like they fully embrace whatever meme comes in their way. In fact, they fully go and capitalize on it. I mean, like they did officially do that Shaggy meme in one of the intros of the Mortal Kombat animated movies, where like you actually see I think Scorpio, and then Shaggy just drags him into the logo like, get over here, man. And you see like Shaggy is all glowing. And then of course, how could we forget last year with Space Jam: A New Legacy, where we got the well-known cameo of Big Chungus. So yeah, honestly, if there's going to be one company that will do everything in their power to go crazy with the memes and to like fully join in on it, it's got to be Warner Brothers. Let's see. This show had a lot going for oh wait. Oh, the sign. Oh wow, the person, okay, that other comment, they actually wrote back saying that it's the Simon Cowell pass. Oh my god, wow, well you just made me look stupid there. Okay, let's see. So far this Velma teaser looks very promising. I like the meta humor so far, the animation looks pretty good, and so far Mindy Kaling as Velma is great and better than Chris Pratt voicing Mario. Anyways, why is Velma complaining to HBO Max about Judy Jetson isn't boy crazy in her upcoming show? Shouldn't she complain about them about canceling her other project Scoob Holiday Haunt, where that movie is 100% complete? Well, I don't know, but it looks like some are a bit more optimistic than others. I'll give you that. This is the most diverse show. This is the most diverse show I've seen in terms of Scooby-Doo. Although HBO Max is not working upstairs in my room, gee, I wonder why. It still looks relatively interesting. However, my one little criticism with this trailer is that it's not really all that funny, and the jokes just feel flat. But I will see this when I have the chance. Also, I can't wait to see Loza bash these right-wing incels on Twitter. All right. I think I'm going to read one more comment before we move, or two more comments, actually. Two more, and then we move on to the next story. Good job, HBO Max. You managed to make me not excited for a Scooby-Doo show. The humor was practically non-existent. The meta commentary is way too cynical. And Velma does feel rather out of character in this. Also, can we just talk about how they call her the unsung and underappreciated brains of the Scooby-Doo Mystery Inc. gang? Bruh, she's basically the most helpful member of the gang. Yeah, honestly, I feel like Velma is one of those characters where, like, people say that everyone calls her underrated so much to the point that she's no longer underrated. Like it's not really underrated or underappreciated when everybody says the same thing. When everybody calls her like the hottest member of the Mystery Inc. gang. You know, you get all those comments, you hear all the same things where it's like, nah, I think it's like the mainstream mentality. It's not underrated. It's pretty much a fact now. Even though for me personally, I actually prefer Daphne over Velma, but I don't know, like you keep saying it so much where I don't believe you that that Velma is underappreciated or underrated. All right, anyways, I'm not personally excited, but that doesn't mean I should trash it. I mean, Fandom Menace are already trashing it so much, and I'm saddened by the fact that Scooby-Doo himself will not be on the show. But anyways, I think there may be some good ideas up ahead. I mean, yeah, who knows? It's pretty much like Chris Pratt's voice as Mario. Like, yeah, the teaser trailer that it shows us does not leave out a good first impression, but you never know. If we do see more of it, maybe we will be convinced that it could be better than what we first thought. So if you are curious to go and check out Velma, then keep in mind it will be coming soon to HBO Max on, in 2023 at some point. Okay, so moving on to our next story. The next one that we have over here, it's kind of funny when it comes to Velma, where we kind of have two different versions now. Two different Velmas that has everyone talking about recently. And I guess you could say that you can go and apply the Virgin and Chad meme, where we have witnessed the virgin adult Velma that not many people are really that into. And then you would have the Chad gay Velma. Now, this is actually something that really went viral, and this is actually in regards to the latest direct-to-home media Scooby-Doo movie, Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo, in which many people are fixated not just on Velma, but her latest crush named Coco Diablo, the new character that is also a fashion designer. And the reason why people are just freaking out and flipping out over what they have seen in terms of the clips that have kept been sharing around on Twitter and on social media is the fact that for the first time ever, a more family-friendly oriented Scooby-Doo project has full-on confirmed that Velma is gay, that Velma likes women, that she prefers tacos over hot dogs, and that is especially prominent with her major crush with costume designer Coco Diablo. And I just want to go and start things off by saying that honestly, this is one of those cases where I feel like you got this friend that you've known for a very long time, that you're very familiar with them, that, you know, you two have always been cool, but you always knew, even though they didn't necessarily say it, you knew that they are part of the LGBTQ plus community, that you know it, but they don't know it yet. And then when the moment finally came, when your friend made that announcement right in front of you to say that they are a part of the LGBTQ plus community, you are not surprised whatsoever. And I mean, I just got to be honest. Is anybody here, anybody in the chat wall that surprised about the fact that Velma is gay? That Velma actually likes women? Is anybody really that shocked about that? Like, let me know, chat wall. I want to know what you think. Are you really that shocked about that? Someone actually commented SpongeBob grinning. Yeah, exactly. It's that kind of reaction that people have about this. Yeah, and so far from what I've seen, the chat wall is pretty much saying that they are not surprised. Maybe one of them is saying a bit, but so far it's no surprise. Yeah, Velma, of course, is gay. And not to mention the fact that for years, decades even, people have been trying to make Velma come out of the closet. And even in this article here in Variety, it actually does talk about the different attempts to make Velma officially and canonly gay. The first one you probably may recall is with James Gunn, where with James Gunn, back when he was writing the early 2000s Scooby-Doo movie, he wanted to go and make Velma gay. In fact, let me go and read you from my source here on Variety, to which it states here, in 2020, James Gunn tweeted that he tried to make Velma a lesbian in the live-action movies. In 2001, Velma was explicitly gay in my initial script, he wrote, but the studio just kept watering it down and watering it down, becoming ambiguous, the version shot, then nothing, the release version, then finally having a boyfriend in the sequel, which of course is played by Seth Green. And then there was another attempt, this time around, not for an adult-oriented movie or show or anything like that, but actually one of the animated shows, Mysteries Incorporated. I believe this was actually something that I did talk about in a previous episode a while back in Animat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, where in Mysteries Incorporated, one of the showrunners, Tony Cervone, wanted to go and make Velma gay. And in a way, it's kind of like confirmed but not confirmed. Like, they didn't say anything, but it's like there are so many hints where it actually shows, and that is with the character Hot Dog Water. And it's actually stated right over here where Tony Cervone actually stated on Instagram, I've said this before, but Velma in Mystery Incorporated is not bi. She is gay. We always planned on Velma acting a little off and out of character when she was dating Shaggy because that relationship was wrong for her and she had unspoken difficulty with the why. There are hints about why in that episode with the mermaid, and if you follow the entire Marcy arc, it seems as clear as we could make it 10 years ago. I don't think Marcy and Velma had time to act on their feelings during the main timeline, but post reset they are a couple. You cannot like it, but it was our intention. So in a way, it's like canonly, but not fully officially stated that Velma is gay, you know? Like, it's an element that could easily, like, go through your head. In a way, it's similar to what they did in Mitchell's vs. the Machines, where they only mention it right at the end of the picture, like, just a quick comment made by the mom, where it would easily just fly over many people's heads, knowing the fact that Katie Mitchell is gay. But in this case, however, with what they did here, it looks like the people who made Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo, they're unapologetic. Like, they just made it, like, straightforward. Like, you could tell that Velma is indeed in love with Coco Diablo. There have even been some clips where they actually showed off that she's just in love. Like, just want to show, like, probably one. Yeah, like this one right over here. Hold on.
And as promised, here are your Scooby snacks. Jinkies. And
now that is obvious as hell that she is in love. If you're like, honestly, how can you not read that as Velma first noticing a girl and it just suddenly love at first sight? It's clearly obvious right over here. And also there is another comment that I do want to make. Now, I just want to state right now that I have yet to actually go and see Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo, but I have seen several clips being passed around on social media in terms of the movie. And one thing I do have to ask, like, let's just start by looking at this clip.
The cloth conforms to any body type, and you can adjust the current to control the mind of anyone you want to submit to your will. It's my greatest creation yet.
Why is this animation so good? Like, let's be honest here. Scooby-Doo has never been known to be great with animation. Like, when you think about the aspects that people love about Scooby-Doo, maybe animation quality might not necessarily be amongst one of them. I mean, we're talking about, like, with the original show, like, they would go and recycle their animation, like, for literally every freaking episode. So, I mean, like, it's kind of a given. And yeah, there have been some times where the hand-drawn animation has been good, but not necessarily great, like in Zombie Island, for example. But maybe other than the 2020 Scoop movie, there has never really been a moment where we have seen some amazing animation. And this is especially the case with Coco Diablo, where that animation is phenomenal. It's so expressive. It's so dynamic. Like, you really see the character, like, coming to life with such smooth animation that you could argue is kind of anti-Hanna-Barbera, if you will, but still amazing. And by the way, it's also worth mentioning that when it comes to the character Coco Diablo, she is actually animated by legendary animation veteran Dan Haskett, and you could tell that the years and decades of experience has really been put onto that character, and it's just so beautiful to watch. And honestly, it really did pique my interest in terms of actually seeing the film myself. Like, I've heard in recent years a lot of, like, the direct-to-home media Scooby-Doo movies, like, they've been bad. Like, Return to Zombie Island apparently has been a massive disaster. And honestly, this feels like probably the first time ever since the original Zombie Island that people got really hyped up and excited for a Scooby-Doo movie. Like, I would even say, yeah, even more so than the last one with Scooby-Doo and Courage the Cowardly Dog, because a lot of people are very much talking about how Velma is now, like, openly gay, that she is a lesbian, and that also there is the animation quality of it all. Like, it really is turning a lot of people's heads, and I understand why. Like, it looks amazing. And by the way, there is actually one more thing that I do want to talk about in terms of Velma's sexual orientation. And I would go and say that, honestly, I could argue that maybe Velma is not a lesbian. but rather she is bi. Now, I know Tony Cervone did state that, well, okay, yeah, Velma is not, she's not bi, she is full-on gay. That's why she was uncomfortable with dating with Shaggy. But there is one guy that I do recall that Velma was so head over heels with, and that is Johnny Bravo. You probably do recall the Johnny, like, say what you will. Maybe it is canon, maybe it's not, but you maybe do recall that there is that Johnny Bravo episode in which they did do a crossover with Scooby-Doo, and Velma was really getting into Johnny. Like she was thirsty as hell, and it was for Johnny Bravo. There is no denying on that. And I remember I did talk to a friend of mine. There was also another instance in which we did see that Johnny Bravo and Velma ship. Now, you probably do recall when Cartoon Network was doing those bumpers in which we see all the Cartoon Network characters crossing over with each other and kind of like living a city life. And there's one in which Captain Planet was talking with Eddie in terms of littering. And there's one shot in which you do see, like, in the corridor in which Johnny Bravo and Velma were walking together and, like, legit arm in arm, where, like, Velma was, like, real close to Johnny Bravo. Now, again, I understand that a lot of people would go and make debates rather if that would officially be canon or not. But I don't know. There is a part of me that feels like maybe Velma just has a very specific type of guy that she would fall in love with, like those muscle-bound himbos like Johnny Bravo. But again, however, I just want to go and clarify, this is not to deny that Velma is part of the LGBTQ plus community, that she is under the rainbow, and that she does have an interest in girls, which is heavily prominent with Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo. But overall, though, I feel like this is obvious, but it's also fun to see, especially with how this is really fueling up the hype for Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo. Like, maybe the movie itself is not great, I don't know, but it is still amusing to see, like, how everyone on the internet is celebrating that Velma has officially come out of the closet, that Warner Brothers has truly accepted Velma's sexual orientation, and that, to top it all off, somehow when Velma came out of the closet, amazing animation quality also came out as well, and really made Scooby-Doo this animation quality that we have not seen before. Like, a lot of it is just so amazing to watch. So yeah, honestly, overall, it's just, I just feel like it's kind of a fun thing to talk about. All right, so with that said, I'd like to go into the chat wall, and I want to ask you all, how do you feel about Velma officially being gay in Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo? And especially, what do you think of the girl that she loves, Coco Diablo, especially her animation? Let me know what you think. Let's see. Well, this was unexpected, and by that, I mean completely expected. Velma always radiated gay icon energy, so it's cool to see it actually becoming canon. So I'll just say this, if Velma is gay, is Shaggy gay also? I mean, there's gonna be no straight vibes radiating from him. Hold on. There's got to be no straight vibes radiating from him. Every scene, he looks like he's gonna swoon into either Fred or Scooby's bed screaming, like if they don't call me Shaggy for nothing, man. And you know, the funny thing is, there was actually one instance, I think it is still a part of Mystery Incorporated or one of the animated series, I do recall that they actually left out a major clue that Fred and Shaggy might be a couple, where honestly, I think it was Freddy. Like, there was one scene where you see Shaggy and Fred living together, and Fred would go and say, oh, the only person who calls me Freddy is my lover. And then you would see Shaggy saying, yeah, I think it's like, yeah, no one my lover is the only one who calls me Freddy. And then Shaggy is like, watch out, Freddy. So there might be that shipping, honestly. And I could see that, honestly. Like, yeah, you got Velma with Coco or Hot Dog Water. You got Shaggy and Fred. And then you got Daphne and me. Well, as long as she's over 18, of course, but still, that would be an ideal shipping. Anyways, let's see what we got here. Didn't we have Velma being somewhat of a lesbian in Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated towards the end? I don't know. I still get confused to this day. As I talked about, technically yes, but anyways. But here, this is definitely a straight-up confirmation that Velma is gay in the upcoming direct-to-video Scooby-Doo movie. It's a great step up, and I might check it out depending on my free time due to working at night for the entire weekend this month, but this is great news still. Oh, yeah, definitely, man. How could you be upset about that? Let's see. With so many animated shows and movies having have been forced into having their LGBTQ characters revealed around the end of it, it feels so refreshing and even a great win for Velma to be prominently gay/bi. But for what looks like the majority of the movie. And yeah, that animation was unexpectedly great from a Scooby-Doo special. And don't worry, folks, Velma isn't going to horny jail. That right there is just a crush. Yeah, but I'm just saying, check out the movie and then you'll determine, all right? If you want to go into horny police mode, go check out Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo. Then you can determine if maybe or not if Velma would go to horny jail. I know that I am guilty of I'm guilty of that. I mean, I've already been guilty, like even right now with how I feel about with my little crush on Daphne. So I'm just saying. Let's see what else we have here. Honestly, this is really not surprising. Over the years, it has been hinted that Velma was a part of the LGBTQ+, but now it is official. It's definitely a major win for the LGBTQ+ community, and I definitely hope we will see more animated series have more gay characters in the future. Oh yeah, but especially not only that, but this is a well-established character. I mean, like, we've known Velma for, like, literally over 50 years, and now it has been confirmed that Velma has been gay. And, I mean, like her interest in, like, it was only with Johnny Bravo in which we learn about her sexual interests and stuff like that. And even that one is more for jokes than anything like that. So I feel like, you know, why the fridge not? And especially how Velma radiated that energy for so long, like, why not make her gay and give the LGBTQ+ community that kind of representation where a very well-known cartoon character like Velma is indeed gay, and now it has been confirmed. Let's see now. I'm not gonna say that I'm shocked that Velma is now gay, but I could say that I'm a little surprised that she is that way, and that I want to say congrats to Velma for coming out of the closet. As for the animation for Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo, oh boy, that's got some real good animation. I could even argue that it's nearly close to be ready for theaters. I haven't watched the latest Scooby-Doo movie since the Courage the Cowardly Dog crossover movie, but one day I'll check out Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo. All right, so if you are all interested in checking out Velma's gayness, or you want to see more of that quality animation, I think Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo is already out now. I think there is a way you can go check it out. If not, well then I'm sure sometime this month it will be released. In fact, here, let me just double check something. I think they did state it on Variety. Let's see now. Yeah, watch... Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo is available to rent or purchase on Prime Video below. Okay, so yeah, you could go and check it out now. I guess that's how some people actually got their clips from Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo. All right, so moving on up to the next trailer. This is actually a bit of a last-minute addition because this trailer just came out this morning. Like, it just came right out of the blue, and I had a few extra stories prepared, including a horror movie based on How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Yes, that same treatment that we have seen with Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. They're going to do the same thing with the Grinch, and apparently that's going to be coming out this December. I was going to talk about that, but instead, I think this one has a bit more priority. So with that said, let's go ahead and check out the new trailer for the upcoming Netflix film, Wendell and Wild. And that is Wendell and Wild, to which the movie will be released on Netflix on October 28th. Now, this was honestly one of those movies that I've been highly excited about, especially with the fact that this is going to be brought to us by the director of The Nightmare Before Christmas, James and the Giant Peach, and Coraline, Henry Selick. And seeing his grand return, like already from the previous clips that we have seen, it was already exciting. Like the animation has definitely sold me on it. And even the idea that we are seeing Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele, that they're going to be coming back as the legendary dynamic duo that we all know and love, in which they're pretty much being demonic versions of themselves. Like already that idea, it's all like I'm already sold on it. Like already it sounds pretty exciting. And in terms of what we have gotten in this trailer, in a way, it feels like it's showing me what the movie is going to be about, but there's just so much of it that I still don't understand. And I don't mean that in a bad way, by the way. I don't mean in any negative sense. It's not like I came out like lost and confused. Like I'm still very much interested in what they want to go and present to me. Like, as I already stated before, the animation already amazing. It looks tremendously beautiful, especially like when we do see the characters such as Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele's character. And I do like how like they made these like crazy abstract versions of these characters. They actually do look very good. And also like the art style, that is also something that I do need to comment, because it kind of has that Paranorman sense where it's abstract, but there's no order to it. Like everything about it feels like it's all crooked, it's all, you know, it's all like misshapen, it's all weird. And honestly, it works for this style. Like it really does. And in the case of Wendell and Wild, it looks like they really are going to go and double down on that style to really give us this abstract look. And so far, like the animation, it's selling us beautifully on that. But especially looking into this, I think like really what sells me is the stuff that I don't really understand, because they're trying to establish this narrative in which we got the main girl, whom I believe is called Cat Elliott, and apparently she has this demonic hand, and she also has this not just the demonic hand, but also a pretty crappy life where her parents are dead. She has to live her life like in this nun-oriented school. And like you see all the, like, she doesn't have that much of a fun life, but then you see when the demon powers suddenly get activated and they go crazy. Like you suddenly see them get unleashed. You see the Key and Peele demons that they're pretty much bringing the dead back to life. Okay, maybe not these guys, but there was one shot where you see like a bunch of cool skeletons. If I may recall, like just going through some of this, where was it? I know like there are some shots where you do see how they would go. Oh yeah, like this one, for example, like you see what skeletons look like. That's another good. Oh no, wait, I think I found it. I think it's like, oh no, wait, no wait. Oh, okay, well, okay, I think it's this one actually. In fact, like some of the designs actually, you know what it reminds me of? Like, you know what this style kind of makes me think of? It's the Book of Life. Like the art style of Jorge Gutierrez. You kind of have like a bit of that you have a bit of that simplicity where it looks nothing like the anatomically correct version of what it wants to represent. And like it's heavily reliant on showing shapes to go and present the characters. But all of this works out very well. Like it still looks fantastic. And even like some of the aesthetics, like here we see Kat using her apparently the powers have been activated and her hand actually comes to life, where this is not a tattoo. This is like a legit growth that she has in her hand. And apparently it has the ability to go and control her demons like Key and Peele. But so far, like everything that they are showing us here, it's just craziness. Like, that's the one thing that it is promising us. It's just showing a whole bunch of madness that is happening with all these different characters and all these demons, like, reanimating the dead. And plus the fact that it is going to have a PG-13 rating, which pretty much tells you that, oh, like, Henry is not going to hold back in terms of the crazy ideas that he has, along with Jordan Peele, considering that with Jordan Peele, he's like heavily involved with it. According to Henry Selick himself, he actually stated that Jordan Peele is a huge fan of stop motion animation, and he was the one that is the most adamant to actually go and collaborate with Henry in order to go and make this movie, which understandably so. So, like, with that horror, like, especially with the horror lens from Jordan Peele, in which he has proven so amazingly well with movies like Get Out, Us, and Nope, I think honestly it's going to result in a beautiful sorry. Ooh. It's going to result in a beautiful combination, and honestly, I don't really understand a whole lot of what is going on, but it does make me excited for what we have in store with this one. So if you are excited to go and check out Wendell and Wild, then keep in mind that it will be coming soon on Netflix on October 28th. All right, so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I want to ask you guys, what do you think about this trailer of Wendell and Wild? Are you guys excited for this one? Are you guys really hyped up to see how this movie is going to go? Do you have your doubts? Let me know what you think. Hold on, I brought an extra water bottle, so just need a bit more water. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Netflix is releasing two amazing looking stop motion films in 1 year. Pinocchio and now this film. Already it feels like a new Halloween classic in my book. The animation looks beautiful, the voice acting will be great, nothing can go wrong with Key and Peele duo, and it's PG-13. Overall, I'm so ready to see this film this Halloween. Side note, I'll be seeing Pinocchio later this month with a Q&A with Guillermo del Toro at Animation is Film. Alright, interesting. I'm thrilled that... Oh, schnut. Hold on a sec. Here we go again. All right, hold on a sec. I'll go and fix that up for you all. Oh, boy. Yeah. Too bad this is a thing now. Okay, I think we're all... Okay, we're much better. All right, back to where we were before. Anyways, I'm thrilled that Henry Selick is finally making his comeback since Coraline. When I heard that his other project, The Shadow King, was cancelled by John Lasseter, I was furious since it would have been Pixar's first dip into stop motion. Still, I'm glad that this film got made and that Jordan Peele gave him the chance to shine once again. P.S. I love how dark and scary some of the scenes look. And the bits where the priest gave the announcement about his death gave me chills. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, there are some stuff that, like, sure, it's kind of like light horror in the same way that Paranorman and Coraline is, but there's still that element where, yeah, it fits perfectly around the Halloween time where, like, you can get into the spookiness of what's in store. Like, for me, I think the freakiest moment when we see Kat holding her mouth and then suddenly you see, like, the demon on her arm, like, suddenly talking. Like, that was freaky, especially, like, when you get that reaction from Key and Peele in which they got hypnotized into it. Really awesome right there. Really awesome. Let's see. As a Henry Selick fan, having just watched James and the Giant Peach for the first time recently, I'm crazy excited for what he does with this world. Key and Peele have great chemistry as always, the animation is phenomenal, and I love the idea of the demon hand, so this will be a must-watch for Halloween. However, part of me wants Wendell to go on a massive tirade that ends up, in which it ends him saying to Kat, "You done messed up, Kayata!" Oh boy. Okay, let's see what else we got here. I think this trailer was even better than the first one, or even that weird Velma trailer. I love that Henry Selick is directing this. I love the performance as Key and Peele, and not to mention the all-star cast such as Angela Bassett, James Hong, and even Ving Rhames. This is one of the most anticipated movies of the year, so I'm definitely watching this movie on October 28th, so I'm hyped. Okay. Wow, someone even commented, "Everyone shut up, Maddie sippy drink." Only Daphne can call me Maddie, I'm just saying. Which one? The one on Scooby-Doo, or maybe this one? Who the fridge knows? You could fill your imagination on that one. Let's see. After so many years, Henry Selick is making his grand return, and what a return it is. And with Jordan Peele on his side, this looks to be an amazing movie. The designs are just wicked, the animation got great life into it, and the story looks like it will be total insanity. It looks like we got yet another stop-motion movie that will be perfect for the Halloween season. All right, let's see what other comments do we have here. Oh yeah, this trailer screams glorious success. The animation and character design are just awesome, the story seems both convoluted yet understandable, and the voice acting sounds just tripping pumpkins. Hopefully that October 28th release will be worldwide. Now we only need for Selick to do another movie, but with Laika as the main studio, and we'll strike diamonds. Also, quick thought on the My Little Goat horror stop-mo short from Japan. I have not seen that one yet. I know that Saberspark has recently put out a review, but I just, well, with all my birthday celebrations, I just didn't have time to watch it. All right, I'll read one more comment before we go and move on to the grand finale. Let's see. Let's see a stop-motion animated that stars comedy duo Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele, and being made by the same guy who directed The Nightmare Before Christmas, James and the Giant Peach, Monkey Bone, and Coraline. I gotta say, I'm down for this movie. The animation looks great, and Key and Peele fit well with the characters they're voicing. I'm actually glad that Henry Selick is returning to make stop-motion animated movies. Fun fact, Wendell and Wild was originally a book, but it was unpublished. Very interesting. I think I did hear about that. I think it was actually Henry Selick that tried to publish the book. I could be wrong on that, but still though, this actually looks amazing. So far, the trailer has me sold into really checking this out. So if you are interested in watching Wendell and Wild, then keep in mind that it will be coming soon on Netflix, October 28th. All right, folks, it is now time that we shall get into, wait for it, the grand finale. And for this finale, we actually have a very interesting discussion. I know technically award season has not arrived yet, but this was actually something that some people in the animation community have heavily talked about and even expressed a bit of their concerns as to what is currently going on with this situation. So I will say, though, that when it comes to this one specifically, this is a bit more complex because this does not reflect on just the Academy, but more specifically on the short film and feature animation branch of the Academy, especially regarding the fact that they would not go and accept Apollo 10.5. So you probably do recall about Apollo 10.5, A Space Age Childhood, which is the latest animated feature created by filmmaker Richard Linklater, and that it was released on Netflix earlier this year. I know that it was in 2022, but I think it was around like April or March or something like that. I don't fully remember. But anyways, yeah, so Richard Linklater, he created this new animated feature called Apollo 10.5, A Space Age Childhood. While not many people have necessarily seen the movie, but apparently it's one of those where those that have seen it, some of them really did like it. And some would even, and I've seen comments where some people would go as far and say that it's one of the best movies of 2022 so far, or one of the best animated movies. So with all that praise and with how people do recognize it as one of Netflix's latest and big animated films that they got this year, Richard Linklater tried to go and submit it to the Oscars, specifically to have it be nominated for Best Animated Feature. Unfortunately, however, they decided to go and reject it. And that is specifically because of the unique animation style that it has, in which it heavily relies on rotoscoping. In fact, to go and read you here from my source on Slash Film, it states, in a letter from the committee explaining the decision, which was shared with IndieWire, the committee wrote that the Academy does not feel that the techniques meet the definition of animation in the category rule due to the extensive use of live action footage. Which is definitely true, because this is one of those movies in which Richard Linklater, he filmed the entire movie first, and then he would have his team to go and animate it, where you see all the actors performing their roles, and then suddenly that's when the animators come in to stylize their movements frame by frame, as well as adding in all the different backdrops. But then Richard Linklater, of course, upset of the matter, he then put out an open letter to go and appeal that decision so that at the very least, Apollo 10.5 can be in consideration. So I'm going to read you the full letter here, in which this is a big article, by the way, and I highly do recommend that you go and read this because it is very fascinating and does highlight a serious issue in terms of how the Academy perceives what is animation. But anyways, reading to you from my source here on IndieWire, it states, Dear members of the SFFA committee and branch governors, I'm writing to appeal the decision by the Academy of ineligibility in the feature animation category of our film Apollo 10.5, A Space Age Childhood. In response to the conclusion that the Academy does not feel the techniques meet the definition of animation in the category rules because of the extensive use of live-action footage, we'd all argue that this is counter to previously established precedents set by the Academy with two specific films in recent history, Spine by Night and Loving Vincent. These two films have embodied nearly identical animation pipelines that, like Apollo 10.5, feature a frame-by-frame redrawing from live-action references, not motion capture, with hundreds of animators working on over 20 months during COVID lockdown, applying their artistry by hand. The difference between Apollo 10.5 and these qualifying films is stylistic. This naturalistic style is not a technical choice, but rather an artistic choice in the crucial area of how I want the film to look and feel. It is accomplished by the hard work of animators drawing characters' motions and performance frame by frame, not a side effect of some hidden software or automatic process. Although not mentioned in the category rules, caricature, exaggeration, and creative design were used as arguments against consideration. The character performances in this film not appearing to be caricatured, exaggerated, or creatively designed in a significant way that differs from the original footage. This is a subjective judgment of an aesthetic choice, and an area the committee should steer clear of when determining eligibility. This unwritten qualification makes it impossible to predict in advance if a film will qualify, as it is not applied equally to the two previously established films. We entirely reject the outdated and discriminatory notion in an industry dominated by technical advancements in big-budget CGI 3D films. Some traditional animation techniques are less pure or authentic even after they meet the technical requirements for consideration. We now ask for an opportunity to present this case to the SFFA branch committee via a video conference to answer any specific process questions concerning this appeal, explaining our process, and defend our artistic choice. Apollo 10.5, A Space Age Childhood should rightfully be considered in this category of animated features by the Academy. Please let us know if this can be scheduled in the weeks to come when the committee next meets. Also, speaking as an Academy member of almost 30 years and nominated in 4 other categories over the years, I'm pretty sure there's no other branch that offers such a time-consuming, now in our 6th month, and fraught defending your art process to determine eligibility. No one should have to go through this. Regards, Richard Linklater. So that's pretty much the whole thing. The fact that Apollo 10.5, A Space Age Childhood, cannot be nominated for Best Animated Feature, and now has opened up to a lot of different discussions on social media. In fact, some animation people, not just animation fans, but some major animation names, including Phil Lord, is actually in major support of Richard Linklater to see that at the very least there can be a consideration to have Apollo 10.5 be nominated. Now, first off, I just want to go and make this statement because this is going to be a very, very hot take, but I know that there are a lot of people who do consider Apollo 10.5 as their favorite, as one of their favorite, at the very least, one of their favorite animated features of 2022. I'm personally not one of them. I mean, the animation, I do agree. It's fantastic. It's great. Like, it is Richard Linklater's best looking movie, or at least best looking animated movie so far. But the story and the direction that it goes, like, honestly, it's boring. It feels weak. Like, it promises us a very interesting idea of like warping history of what if the Apollo 11 mission was actually done by a 10.5-year-old, but then it would often get sidetracked more than half of the time in the feature film where, or I would even say the majority of the film, where it's nothing more but a nostalgia trip for people who grew up in the American suburbs during the 1960s. That's all it is. Like, it really, like, for most of the time, you're just expecting, like, this cool space movie, but it really is just Jack Black going, hey, remember the 1960s? What a great time the 1960s was. You know, it feels like it's just catering to American boomers, and I'm not an American boomer. So, honestly, I could see, like, a very niche audience that could really appreciate this movie and that it really is made for them. But, honestly, I'm just not digging into it. Like, honestly, I'm not that big of a fan with what they've offered in Apollo 10.5. I would probably say that it could be the weakest of the animated films by Richard Linklater, even when comparing to Waking Life and to A Scanner Darkly. Again, I know it's a hot take, and maybe some people will say, like, oh, you're in the minority for this one. But honestly, that's just how I personally feel about it. But with that said, I do completely understand how Richard Linklater feels in this situation, because this is not the first time that we have seen this discussion be brought up. What would be considered animation for the Academy to go and accept? Because this actually makes me think back of way back a decade prior, back in 2011 and 2012, when we had The Adventures of Tintin. And I still stand by that it's not just the best animated movie of 2011, but one of the best animated features that we've had in recent years. It really is that phenomenal. And yet the Academy decided not to go and vote for it because of its use of motion capture. That's the animation medium that it did use. It's pretty much very similar to what we have seen before, like with The Polar Express or with Beowulf or Jim Carrey's A Christmas Carol or Mars Needs Moms. You know, those types of Robert Zemeckis movies. And even at that, it feels like it would have been the kind that would have been a great contender at the Oscars and really sweeping all those best animated feature categories. But sadly, the only thing that it did get nominated is just Best Original Score by John Williams. And that's pretty much it, which really is disappointing. And it does bring up the subject of what should be considered what should be considered animation. Like, where is that fine line between rotoscoping and just full-on animation altogether? Because we can also go and look back, and not just the examples that Richard Linklater brought up, especially with Loving Vincent, which has been done in the exact same process, but there's also a lot more movies that are heavily dependent on rotoscoping, and yet people don't deny that it is indeed an animated film. Like the classic Disney movies, for example. Stuff like Snow White or Cinderella or Sleeping Beauty. All of those films do often use rotoscoping in order to depict their characters. Like, yeah, sure, maybe Snow White, Cinderella, and Aurora, they're not that dependent on rotoscoping, but you could tell that a lot of it is used in order to go and present their characters. Or another great example, and probably the best example, would actually be regarding Ralph Bakshi. Because if you know Ralph Bakshi, you know that guy loves using rotoscoping, like almost in the same level as what we have seen with Richard Linklater's films like A Scanner Darkly and Apollo 10.5, films such as American Pop, and his adaptation of The Lord of the Rings. That one also heavily uses rotoscoping, where you could tell that each frame has been drawn from live footage. And yet, would that be considered animation? Would people watch that and say that it's a cartoon? Most likely, yes. And I mean, I do understand that there would be that argument in regards to like motion capture, because if motion capture would be considered animation, then at that point, where would the line be drawn in terms of what is an animated movie? Like, if we are going to fully embrace motion capture as an animation medium, then we would consider James Cameron's Avatar to be an animated feature, considering its extensive use of motion capture technology. But this is not the case here. With Apollo 10.5, it's actually more of a 2D film. It's not, like, there's no real like 3D elements put into it. Yes, technically it is made on a computer, but it is more so a 2D film with all, you know, with all these different drawings that are interpreted from live action. That's basically the style that it is going for. And what I will say, ooh, excuse me. But I will say what is actually messed up about this is regarding the fact that this isn't necessarily from the Academy itself. Like, this isn't from like the big wigs at the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences that determine what is animation and what isn't. It's actually specifically from the short film and feature animation branch, most of which actually consists of members that are animation veterans or are working in the animation industry. People who have worked in major animation studios like Disney, DreamWorks, Illumination, and all those companies. People who have been like storyboard artists, character designers, writers, directors, lighting artists, like people who have been in all those different positions. Like, those are the people that are in charge of that specific committee. And yet they're the ones that are making the controversial choices of deciding what is animation and what is not. And that's the factor where I personally feel like things have become a bit more complex, where now it, like, in a way you could argue, like, some people would want to go and jump in and say like, oh, the Academy is stupid. They don't know anything about animation. They think animation is for kids. That's how they treated the shows. No, this is actually a decision made by animation veterans who know what they're doing, that they got years and decades of experience, and they're the ones who are determining about it, which makes it a bit more difficult to go and actually have this discussion. But it does bring up a very good point, though. What would be what is considered animation and what is not? And specifically, I would love to know from the members themselves of who's establishing these rules. Who's the one that's trying to say that something like DC League of Super Pets is an animated film, but Apollo 10.5 is not? I feel like there should be a major discussion that more and more people, especially Academy members, should go and open up. But one more comment that I do want to make here, and this could also be a hot take, but honestly, even if Apollo 10.5 would be in consideration, I don't really see it be nominated, because the thing is with Netflix is that they're really going all in with all their animation content, because so far they've been like, at least with the upcoming ones, they got some amazing films that are going to be coming soon. Movies like what we have just seen with Wendell and Wild. There's also My Father's Dragon from Cartoon Saloon. And then we also got Guillermo del Toro's highly anticipated Pinocchio movie. And I feel like all those features have a better shot to be nominated for Best Animated Feature, more so than Apollo 10.5. Or if Netflix would go and make a choice of which one would they want to have as their big animation winner, I think it's at the very least one of those three, or especially Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, much more than Apollo 10.5. So for me, I feel like, yeah, I do agree Apollo 10.5 should at least be in consideration, but even at that, I don't think it would make that much of a difference where it would ultimately end up getting nominated, especially if it would go and compete some of the other Disney films like Turning Red or maybe the upcoming Strange World. So I just want to go and put my piece on that. All right, so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I want to know, how do you all feel about the entire Apollo 10.5 controversy? Do you think the movie should be in consideration? Do you consider that an animated feature? I would like to know your input on this. All right, let's see here. I have yet to see Apollo 10.5, but the fact that it was rejected by the biggest award empire in Hollywood, wow, that really must suck. The people who worked on this film really deserve so much better than this. I support Spider-Verse writer Phil Lord for calling out the Oscars and why they view animation. My biggest hopes for the 95th is at least The Bad Guys and Wendell and Wild get nominated. This is just sad, though. Okay. Let's see. What other comments do we have here? Any other comments that people want to make? Anybody want to put their piece? Have any of you even seen Apollo 10.5? I'm just curious. Some people are saying they're kind of mixed on it. Give it time. some people. Well, yeah, King Cerulean coming in is like, he'll come, Matt. Don't worry, they're coming. Okay. Anyways, I think it should be considered for an Oscar for Best Short Film, although it does depend on what style of art they use for their rotoscoping. Can you look at something like Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings? Actually, it looks like it's a 2D animated film, tornado style, even if the rotoscoping were used versus how they use in Loving Vincent, which looks like a camera filter rather than actually being hand-drawn, even though it was. By the way, Edward, I just want to go and comment that you're actually you're getting better with your grammar. You know, you're improving. You know, I'm glad to see that, man. Let's see what else we have here. I have seen Apollo 10.5: A Space Age Childhood, and a while back, and it was good. I do get some people called it nostalgia for boomers, and I'm not a boomer myself, as I'm part of the Gen Z, but I liked it for what it is. Seeing how this movie is not getting accepted because of rotoscoping from live action is bullcrap. All animation, regardless of what medium it is used, should be accepted. Monster House and Loving Vincent got nominated using different mediums, so why can't Apollo... Wow. Apparently there was a bit of a typo. Apollo 101.5 should. I know, like, you didn't mean to do that, but it's just funny to see, like, the new title. It's like almost Kingdom Hearts, like Kingdom Hearts Apollo 101.5. Let's see what else. What other comments? I think I'll go and read one more, actually. Personally, I really enjoyed Apollo 10.5. Having it not be in consideration because I really enjoyed it. It honestly is just disappointing that they would not, because I definitely considered it an animated film. So overall, it is very disappointed. Well, I mean, again, I know it's a massive discussion about what can be considered an animated feature, what is not, but again, I feel like either way, it is a discussion worth having. I think it is important that we, as animation fans, to go and have a talk, especially, like, we can't just let one group, even if it is a bunch of animation veterans, like, they can't be the only ones to tell us what is animation and what isn't. And I think with that said, that should do it for this episode of Animat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Whew, I'm not gonna lie, this honestly went better than I thought, at least in terms of the situation with my throat. So thank you all so much for joining me on this, and I really do hope by next week, I will end up feeling all better, and I'll be back to my crazy self for this. And even though we got some great stories so far, hopefully by next time we'll get some even crazier ones. So if all that's said and done, I would like to say thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, see you later, dudes. Ah, crap, hold on a sec. I gotta go and fix that myself. It's just my Stream Deck is not working, so, let me go and say...